Hi foodies, I am still on my biscuit escapades. We are a little addicted to our homemade biscuits. It's so quick and easy, and once we figured out that we can make one big giant scored in half biscuit, we figured out that we can have homemade bread in a jiffy. So, you know those jiffy boxes of bread that you just like dump and make? The kind of like the same, where we can make our own biscuit bread that turns into a loaf bread that we can use for a sandwich. That is super quick and easy, but the great thing about it is I'm gonna make 2 different loaves today, and I'm gonna stick them in the fridge, and I'm gonna just have them be there and be ready for us to use whenever we want. That's what I did with the dill biscuit bread the other day. I made a dill whole wheat biscuit bread, and I scored it in half, and I made 2 loaves, one for Jay, one for me. And last night we made turmeric hummus, and we made tomato cucumber sandwiches, and it turned out delicious. So now I'm going to make a sun-dried tomato biscuit bread, and I'm going to make the same dill bread that we made the other day. So I've pre-measured my dry ingredients, and I keep them separate until I'm ready to mix them. And then I have my wet ingredients. So I have 2 batches, and I'm going to do one with the sun-dried tomatoes that I have cut up, some sun-dried tomatoes that I brought back from Toronto from this farmer's market, and they were super, super fresh, like they had just picked the tomatoes and made them. So I'm gonna be using those, and I am doing full spelt for this batch. I have figured out that I love spelt flour because it ends up being a lot fluffier, not so dense as whole wheat. My first batch, I did 1 cup of whole wheat, half a cup of spelt, and then I started playing with it. Now I'm doing all spelt. We really liked the all spelt bread. The outside is crunchy and the inside is bready, if that makes sense. So it's kind of like biscuit crunch on the outside and then bread kind of on the inside. So I'm going to show you what I do. So I'm just going to whisk together my wet ingredients, and I'm using my soy yogurt. So I have figured out another thing to be able to use my soy yogurt with. And I'm using soy milk. So I'm using the Eden brand soy milk. I have not tried any other plant milks with this yet, because I wanted the creaminess and the protein of the soy yogurt plus the soy milk. So there we go. I got the wet mixture smooth, and now what I'm going to do is I am going to dump it right into my dry ingredients, and then I'm going to whisk it up. You don't want to overmix it. This is why I love this, because I don't like recipes where you have to mix it and net it and then knead it, or however you say that, and then after that you have to let it rise, and then you have to wait. Like, I don't want to have to do all of that. I just want quick gratification. So this is why I love this bread. I'm going to keep my spatula over here. So this is just very lightly mixing it until it's incorporated. And I also have figured out I don't like to get my hand dirty or my hands dirty. So this is the perfect bread for you if you do not want to get your hands too dirty or too involved in the process. No netting involved, no waiting for it to rise, nothing. So I'm just going to grab all the last little bits and pieces of flour that's in here. And then I'm going to take my spatula and I'm going to pull it out. One that doesn't have a lot of prongs for the whisk is what you want to use. This one doesn't have too many prongs, so I can stick my spatula in there and get everything out. So there we go. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to try to incorporate a little bit of the sun-dried tomatoes into here. I should have done it when I was mixing it up better, but there's my little sun-dried tomatoes. And I might actually, and again, I should have done it when I was incorporating all of this, but I'm going to put a tiny bit of smoked paprika on my sun-dried tomato bread. And then I'm going to put a little bit of gumph into this, and then I'm going to dump it, and I'm going to flour my surface. That's one thing I don't want it sticking anywhere, so I'm just going to use a little bit of the same spelt that I use for the entire recipe. I was telling you guys that were here early that I used all spelt for this bread recipe. I did not use a half-half ratio of the whole wheat and the spelt because I figured out that I like the spelt because it's fluffier. So that's it. So I think you guys can see the biscuit bread. So I'm not going to cut it. That's the other lazy thing that I took on this bread. I don't want to have to cut it. I don't want to have to do anything but shape it into a big kind of square rectangle, more like a rectangle. And then I'm going to score it. I'm going to get a knife. I usually try to have everything before. Okay, I'm going to get a knife, and then I'm going to score it, and I'll show you guys because I'll put it here in my tray. And what I love about this too, 10 minutes in the toaster oven, that's it. And then I take it out, I let it cool, and then I put it in my refrigerator because it doesn't have any preservatives or anything in it. You don't want to store it on your counter. Look at that. So we've got our biscuit bread. This one's Sundried Tomato, and it's going straight on parchment paper. And then I'm just going to stick it in the toaster oven. In 10 minutes, we're going to have Sundried Tomato bread. I'm going to show you the dill. I'll be right back. I'm going to put this in my toaster oven. I haven't even been making it in the, I'm going to set my timer too so I don't forget because it's 10 minutes on the dot. So I have my oven. I have it in my little toaster oven, and I have my oven at 425, and I just set my timer to 10 minutes, and every batch that I've made has worked out for 10 minutes, so that's all it takes. So now I'm going to go ahead and do this. I'm going to leave the floured surface that I have on here for my next one. So I'm just going to give it a heavy dose of garlic powder. This is what I did last time when I made the dill one. I'm going to put a heavy dose. The way that I measure herbs and such, unless it's a very pungent herb like curry or cayenne or cumin or something that is very powerfully flavored. If you coat the entire surface of what you are cooking or baking, usually it's the measurement hits the key. I don't take out my teaspoons and measure what I need. I just coat the top of it. So somehow it always ends up working out. So I just take the herb and I coat the top of it. And so if it was a bigger bowl, I do the same thing. I coat the entire top, and it's enough herb to give it herby flavor without overpowering it. So I do want this to be dill forward. So I'm going to put a little bit more dill because we really enjoyed the dill one that we had yesterday. So there we go. Now I've got that, and I'm going to incorporate my wet mixture in again. I'm going to get all of this in here. And then while that one is baking, this one will just be sitting on the counter waiting for that one to come out of the toaster oven. And then we will put this one in when that one comes out. So I'm going to put a little bit of this. This is some dried herbs that are kind of Mediterranean. I don't even know what kind of blend it is. I got it at a Mediterranean market that had all sorts of neat stuff. And I saw it and I said, this will come in handy. So I think it'll look pretty on the bread. So I'm just going to throw some in there. This is what I love about these biscuits. You guys can put whatever flavorings you want in here. Just don't add anything that's wet so that it doesn't detract from the chemistry of it. And you'll be fine. So this one is done. I'm going to mix it up really well, but not over mix it. You don't want to work that gluten too much. This isn't bread that needs needs netting or kneading or however you say it. There we go. That's it. I can see the baking soda and the baking powder. It has both baking soda and baking powder, and it is a little crusty on the outside, and I'm going to dust just a tiny bit more, even though I have enough. And then I'm just going to dump it. That's it. Dump it. And you do not have to net it. You just have to shape it. So I'm shaping my rectangle again. I'm going to make it into the size of what I would want like a sandwich loaf to be like. I'll show you guys in a second. I'm going to flour my hands a little bit and flour the top of it a little bit. So I did notice that I like putting a little flour on top versus not. I had done some batches without the flour on top, without the flour on the bottom of the batter of the loaf. And for some reason, I like that little bakery flour dusting on top and on the bottom. Oh, this smells so good. Okay. This dill, oh, it just smells so good. All right. So I'm going to put a little bit of the dusting on top. And then this one, I'm going to score it in half. And we're going to use this again for, let's see if I can show you guys without making a mess. There you go. That's the dill herb one. So I'm going to lay it on my parchment paper, and it's just going to wait for my other bread to be done. And then when that one is done, I'll just take it out, put it on a little cooling rack so it doesn't cook any further, and then stick this one in. When both of them are cooled, I'll stick them in the fridge. I'll keep them in a little container until we're ready to use them, because we have more Kamado tomatoes, and we're going to be making tomato cucumber sandwiches, because I made a turmeric hummus, which is super easy. If you want to make it, you just take 2 or 3 shoots of turmeric. You put them in a little pot of water, and you put a great generous dusting of onion powder and a generous dusting of garlic powder, and you just cover the turmeric shoots. I cut them up, 2 or 3 turmeric shoots, fresh ones, and you just cover them with water, dust them with the onion and garlic, and cook them until they're tender. Once they're tender, I put them in a little processor or a blender, and I buzz it until I have a creamy turmeric watery sauce, and I keep that in a Tupperware in my refrigerator, and I use that for flavoring recipes, or my favorite, for flavoring hummus, because I noticed that when I tried to do hummus with the powdered turmeric, it's not the same. And so this actually incorporates the flavor into the hummus really well of the turmeric. So we've been having turmeric hummus, and then all you have to do to make your hummus is a little bit of aquafaba with some chickpeas, put some of the concoction in. I put about a 1/4 cup in, and then I put some aquafaba in and tahini, and I buzz it until the creaminess that I want, and I keep adding aquafaba until I get it either the thin that I want or the thick that I want. I like it thicker. Jay likes it a little thinner, so sometimes it's my way, sometimes it's his way. So you can do the same, but I love me a turmeric hummus. So if you have any questions, shoot them in the comments, but I wanted to show you how easy it is to do this biscuit bread. I hope you try it. I hope you tell me what flavors you experiment with. So far, we've done the cinnamon, which is the more desserty type biscuit, and we've done the dill, we've done just garlic, we've done plain, and now we're trying the Sundried Tomato. So it has lent itself to any flavor that you want to put in it. And even if I wanted to take this loaf and score it again into biscuits, I could get 8 biscuits out of here, or I could get, smaller slices of bread. You can do whatever. You can do smaller, tiny biscuits for like a gathering or whatever you want. So I just score it. I prefer scoring it rather than cutting them, because, you don't get dirty. This is going to take no time to pick it up, and it's taking me longer to show you guys than actually do this, execute it, cook it, and have some bread ready. So for those of you that are missing bread, that substantial bread, this is the crusty on the outside, bready on the inside, this might be the bread for you. We didn't realize how much we were missing it, and we always use Ezekiel bread, and we kind of are stuck on the same brands that are whole foods and plant-based, and even Ezekiel has sodium in it and stuff, so we have control of what is going into this bread. So you have the control, but also it gives you the ability to make the bread without being limited to just the bread that they sell out in the market, and not have to work hard at it, because I'm not about to knead and wait and let it rise and all that stuff. Maybe sometimes for special occasion, but not for my everyday life. All right, guys, hope you're having a happy day. Bye. It's hot in Florida. You see me flushed with all this stuff on? It's hot.